Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This time we have one of my favorite series on this channel, Top 10 Isekai Manga. As you may have noticed, a lot of my videos were deleted from the channel, but no worries, I'll bring them all back with new recommendations as well. So, for the lovers of Isekai Manga, here you have it. If this video helps you out or if you simply want help, leave a like and don't forget to subscribe if you're a fan of anime, manga or manhwa content. Without further delay, let's get into the top 10. Number 10 comes with I Got a Cheat Skill. The title to this work is unbelievably long, so I'll include it all in the description. The main character was 15 years old and bullied since he was little, just for being ugly. But one day, he found a door to another world. Traveling between an alternate reality and the real world, he turns his life around. This one is a bit of an oddball for the isekai genre, mainly because the main character can in fact go from one world to another. I do like that the main character has a lot of room for improvement, even when becoming overpowered from the beginning of the story. There's also the fact that he's quite humble even after becoming sort of a different person. Now obviously this is all quite subjective. Personally, I quite like the story and I know many of you will too, so I decided to recommend it. In number 9 we have Gokufuri Kyohi. Many people suddenly find themselves in a wide empty space where a godlike figure tells them that they are to be reincarnated and sent to a isekai known as Tesla. They are given a limited number of points to spend in various attributes, such as their race and abilities, which will determine their reincarnation into Tesla. The story follows a young boy sent there along with his clanmates from an MMORPG, and they plan to stick together and specialize into different skills just like they did in game. Although his clanmates and everyone else sent there are strangely accepting of the situation, he finds it too suspicious and decides to go on his own separate way, balancing his points out to be an all-rounder instead of an healer. He literally goes about life in Tesla as an adventurer, but it slowly starts to seem like there was a reason behind them being sent there. Now, one thing I do have to warn you about is the fact that this manga is heavy on text. There's a lot to read, which is usually not the case for this type of stories, but I did really enjoy it because of that. You can see the thought process behind the main character's choices, and to be honest, it's nice to have a main character that thinks for himself for once. I think it's a very good recommendation, so give it a shot. Number 8 comes with Around 40 Kenja. Satoshi was a player of the VR RPG Sword and Sorcery, who defeated the evil god and died for his troubles. When he woke up again, he found himself in a strange unknown forest. Furthermore, he possessed his avatar's body and abilities. In other words, he was a cheat. Can a 4-year-old live peacefully in this world? There's 2 manga for this work. Recently there's been another adaptation for this work with a newer art style, but I still enjoy the old one better and that's the one I included. This is an isekai mixed with slice of life, and depending on how it's done, I really enjoy this type of isekai. It's also nice to see an older main character and not a young and dumb one. Obviously, as you may have guessed, he's overpowered as one can be, but he's very conscious on how he uses his power. A very good manga, so give it a try. In number 7 we have Meister. There is only one Meister in the world. After the death of the last Meister over 1000 years ago, Jean was transported to another world in order to succeed her will. After obtaining her knowledge, Jean attempts to use a warp gate but it malfunctions, transporting him to an unknown world. Along with that, an automata is recently restored also uses the warp gate in order to search for her father. Thus, the crafting journey of the new Meister begins. As you may have seen in the text, this is an harem. But honestly, I don't really consider it one, or at least it's different from most. The harem is not an heavily point on this plot, so it doesn't bother me as much as others do. Besides that, it's nice to see a different type of power, not only the destruction type one. Creation power is one of my favorites when it comes to isekai, so this one definitely hits the spot, and I'm sure it will to you too. Number 6 comes with Inaka no Home Center. After a long day of labor, Masaru, who works for a rural home improvement store, sees his co-workers off and walks to his van. He never makes it, as he's immediately summoned to Alstatia by a frivolous god and her mother. They tell him that he's to be reincarnated in this strange land, and give him the chance to roll for special abilities. He pulls the lever of the mystical slot machine before him and manages to get a perfect skill set, for a carpenter anyway. Now, back on the ground and in the company of a race of bunny people, Masaru decides to take his new life as it comes. Maybe get into manual labor again, build some houses perhaps. You already know that Isekai plus kingdom building is absolutely my top one, and this one is extremely good at it. You start off with a small village and they advance more and more each chapter. Obviously this gives way to slower chapters, but I don't mind that at all. The art is also very good, which helps a lot with everything including the fighting scenes. Definitely something you must read. In number 5 we have Monster no Goshujin-sama. Everyone in high school is suddenly transported to another world. As they are attacked by monsters, they find that some of the students now have superpowers. They organize themselves into 2 groups. Those without powers are called the Stay Home group, and those with them are called the Exploration group. On a day where most of the Exploration group is out, the remaining ones that stayed behind start the slaughtering of the Stay Home group. Here we meet our protagonist, an average guy with no abilities who had just barely escaped death at the hands of his schoolmates. He ends up far away in a cave on the verge of death, exhausted and wounded when the slime enters the cave and starts eating away at his hand. All he can say is, "Please, someone out there, help me." Before we get into this work, I do have to warn you that it contains explicit violence, physical abuse, sexual abuse, and more, so read it carefully. As you may have guessed, the main character is not one without abilities, but for the sake of being spoiler free, I won't give you too much. I did enjoy this story, it seemed quite realistic to me, and they got me hooked on it. If you don't mind any of what I mentioned before, then this one is definitely a must read. Number 4 comes with Trapped in a Dating Sim. Office worker Leon is reincarnated into a particular punishing dating sim video game, where women reign supreme and only beautiful men have a seat at the table. But Leon has a secret weapon. He remembers everything from his past life, which includes a complete playthrough of the very game he is now trapped in. Watch Leon spark a revolution to change this new world in order to fulfill his ultimate desire, of living a quiet, easy life in the countryside. This story is quite slow at the beginning, but it picks up and gets better and better. The main point of this story is the main character. He's definitely not your usual isekai character and has so much character to him, to the point where he looks like a psycho, but I still love it. Without a doubt, something you need to read. In number 3 we have World Teacher. A man who was once called the world's strongest agent ended up becoming a teacher after his retirement to train the new generation of agents. After many years of training his disciples, he is killed at the age of 60 by the plot of a secret organization and was reincarnated in another world with all his past memories. Though he was surprised by the magic and the strange species of the world, he adapted very fast to his condition as a newborn and took advantage of it. He acquired special magic and gained a massive amount of strength thanks to his tight discipline, in order to reach his goal, resume his career as a teacher, which is left halfway through his previous life. I did enjoy this story quite a bit, even though it's quite plain. Let me explain. The story in itself, it's not something that we haven't seen before, and the characters are very linear, either they are very good and kind or bad and evil, but I still found myself reading most of it. Now, it wouldn't be something I would recommend off the bat, but if you're like me and read most of the isekai stories out there, then this one might be to your liking. Number 2 comes with Humans Are the Strongest. Elf, Dwarf, no. Humans are the strongest. The main character was summoned to a different world where humans are the strongest living beings. In his previous world, he was just a normal everyday salaryman, but in this world he seems to have become a rare existence. He, who has obtained the strongest power through his race, has decided to enjoy this seemingly stress-free life to the fullest. Now, as in most stories, there are good things and some bad ones. Let's start with the good ones. The plot is not entirely original, but it's still different kind of take that I enjoy. The characters are very well drawn and the art is nice. Now, on to the bad. The main character, even though he has been in quite a good number of fights, he still doesn't believe his power and is afraid to do anything. Now, I'm not asking for him to go off and just be the macho man, but at least some progression would be nice. Overall, still an enjoyable read, so I decided to recommend it. And in number 1 we have Wise Man's Grandchild. A powerful wizard and sage who have saved the world from calamity many times comes upon a baby whom they adopt and name Chin. The baby is actually a man from our world, reincarnated into their world. The sage raises Shin separate from the rest of society and teaches him in the ways of magic. It is only when Shin turns 15 years old and sets out on his own journey that the sage remembers that he forgot to teach Shin the common sense and ways of this particular world. And so, Shin goes to the capital of the kingdom to enroll in the capital's magic academy. Now, there's an anime adaptation to this work, but I still think reading the manga was much more fulfilling. I like overpowered main characters, especially when they explore their powers, and they're always finding new and interesting ways to use them, and that's exactly what this manga does. Another thing that I enjoyed was the romance. Not really the romance in itself, but the fact that the main character doesn't have a huge harem, and only is interested in one girl. A very nice read, so definitely give it a chance. Now guys, this is the top 10 Isekai Manga part 4. Did you find any manga that you haven't read yet? Did you like it? If this video helped you in any way, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to activate the bell so you don't miss any video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.